Hey, it's Felix here, and I have now helped 6 companies build an AI company brain. And let me just tell you that there's quite a lot you can learn from this. So, just in the next 5 minutes or so, I will teach you all the mistakes that we have done because if you do it incorrectly, it can cost you a lot of money. So please just watch this, take some notes, and don't make the same mistakes. But I like doing these reps now. I've created a framework that is very good of first of all decide, do you need do you need an AI company brain or not? Because I can tell you most companies, it's AI company brain is just doing more harm than good. So you really need to decide, is this actually right for your business? So that's the first step. And then the second step is taking a look at what do we need to create it. So how can we create it in the best possible way? So that's what I want to talk about today. And the reason I started thinking about this was yesterday. My one of my very close clients, he called me and he said that, hey Felix, I just talked with this one guy at the co-working space, and he had this cool AI company brain, and they were making their sales processes and operations more efficient, and it was really cool. It was analyzing stuff, and it was helping their agents and making them money, and it was so cool. All the bells and whistles, right? And listen, I have an AI agency, and I speak with a lot of companies, and anytime one of my clients or prospects, they have some idea of AI that they've heard on LinkedIn or YouTube, they always come and ask me, hey Felix, what do you think about this? What do you think about OpenClaw? Or should I switch from ChatGPT to Claude? And what about Hermes? And what about this and that agent? And what about this skill? Should I automate this process? So I hear a lot of things. And once again, I immediately knew, all right, this is now some shiny object syndrome. He has seen something. He has seen something that someone else has done, and now I really need to figure out, all right, is this actually a good idea or not? That's sort of my job. I help companies implement AI with an ROI focus. So my job is thinking, can we make money with this? Can we grow the business with this? Because the thing is, anything I do, I want at least a 10 or 20x return. Otherwise, I'm not touching it. So this is immediately where I'm going. So I asked him a couple of questions. And these are the questions you should ask yourself when you're thinking, should we create an AI company brain, second brain for a company to help us with all this cool stuff? And I asked him, okay, fair enough, it works for them, but what is the end outcome you want? What is it actually that you want this to do? And he said, "Oh, I'm not really sure. I haven't really thought about it. I was just thinking that, he said that their processes are much better, and they're able to, be really efficient with their processes and update them and all stuff like this." And I just asked him, which processes would you want to make more effective? And he said, "Oh, I haven't really thought about it." And that's exactly the point. When you're starting any project, but this is especially true in AI when there's so many new things, so many updates coming every single week, and you have 50 different things that you could do. It's very important to ask yourself, what is actually the end outcome you want? And what is the process we're going to automate? Because just saying something vague hey, I want to grow my sales or my, cut cost on operations, I want to make this more effective, and using these big terms and having it a very vague idea in your head, it's not useful at all. And I'll tell you why it's not useful. And the reason is that AI is a robot. And AI works best when you give it very clear instructions. But if you're very vague to AI and you just make something up and say, hey, please improve my business, it has no context on how it should improve your business. And then it's just pulling from a million different ideas, and the end result that you will get will be very suboptimal. So this is why it's very important to be very clear to the AI. Okay, this is the end outcome we want. When you prompt something, a very good idea is always say, what is a good end outcome? You should really understand what is a good end outcome. And yeah, of course, there's many different prompting tactics. And sometimes it makes sense to just give AI and the end outcome, the end goal, and then let it figure it out. But in cases like this, where you want to create some AI company brain, you need to be very specific. What exactly is the end outcome we want? What process are we automating? Like, what do you want to get out of this, right? This is why most companies, they spend money on AI and they get no return on investment. And that's because you never ask yourself, where will the money come from? How will this actually produce economically valuable things for my company? Like, how will I make money with this? This is why I have a job, because there's so much fluff out there. There's so many people doing cool stuff. It's very cool to do things with AI. But what is actually bringing you results? All right, I get a little bit, heated up with these things. But then after this, I sort of guessed that he hadn't really planned out like what are all the things that we could do. But I gave him a couple of recommendations because like when he comes with an idea to me, like my goal is not to like shut it down and say, no, we're not doing a company brain. But I just want to help him sort of go through his own thinking and understand the things we're doing, because like that's also part of my job, to really teach my clients how to think about AI, because that's the most valuable skill in today's world. Like, know how to work with AI and how to communicate with AI. So I told him, okay, like it's totally fine, but I would definitely answer these questions. But there are a couple of areas where we could use AI to help us. And then I listed out a couple of them. For example, social media is one. So we could definitely like analyze like all of the social media and have a company brain that is sort of picking up those ideas and giving us new ideas and analyzing, all platforms and aggregating all of it, and then helping us to produce even more social media, blog content, SEO, GEO, all this kinds of stuff. So that's like one thing. And then also, if you have a lot of data, and I will soon go into that point, but if you have a lot of data, there might also be a lot of like unknowns in your business. So there might be a lot of things that you wouldn't even think about. So if you just take all of that data and you give it to AI, then you might actually find some useful stuff from there. But that leads me into the third point, which is data. Do you have the right amount of data to make meaningful conclusions? And this is a very critical third step, because, all right, we might have a process that we want to automate, that we want to make better with AI, and we might have the end outcome in mind. All right, I actually want to improve this, and this will actually be economically valuable for me. But do we have enough data to feed the AI company brain? Because if you don't feed the brain any information or enough context, we will not be able to make any meaningful conclusions. And this is why people talk about, data is the new oil, and data is so important, and we should collect data and stuff. We should collect as much data as possible. You hear everyone talk about like data collection and stuff. And this is the name of the internet, right? But do you have enough data? Because it's a very important point. Because if you don't have any data, there's not much you can do. You can't make any patterns. You can't give the AI enough context to really give you any meaningful analysis or information. But if you have the data and you have checked these three boxes, then we're good to go. Then we're fantastic to go. But I will also give you some advice, because I asked him these questions and we came to the conclusion that, all right, yeah, there's potential for this. Maybe not yet, but we should definitely start collecting data. And then in the coming year or so, we should think about the process. We should think about the end outcome. And probably at a later stage, maybe in 3 to 6 months from now, we'll actually start like implementing and using a company brain like this. But the reason we didn't start it today was that we didn't have enough data. And I will now give you a couple of more, practical examples of how you can gather more data. Like, how can you actually get data, right? Because everyone talks about data, but how do you get data? And my goal here is to be very practical with you. You can take something here and change your behavior, right? So the easiest example, the lowest hanging fruit that most companies are missing is just recording all of your calls with a note taker. So you can use something like Fathom Notes. It's free. It works in all languages. So I work in like multiple languages and have many different sales calls in Finnish, Swedish, English, not so much beyond that, unfortunately. But I mean, not really. I don't really like French or German that much. It's I understand it, but I'm not that good at talking. All right. Anyway, but you should start recording your sales call. No, not only your sales calls, all your calls. So what I'm doing is I'm recording obviously all my sales calls. That is very good for improving your sales, but also all internal meetings, all partnership meetings, everything, because you have so much sort of hidden data in your sales calls, and most of the sort of talking between your team and you are happening in calls. So it makes sense to sort of record all of your calls, get it transcribed, and then you can just feed that into the AI with an API key. You can get that from Phantom Notes. You just take the API key, you give it to Claude, and then boom, you have Claude, and Claude or Codex or whichever model you're using can analyze it. So that's fantastic, because that means that we can get way more data than we are getting right now. So that's obviously one thing. And another thing is obviously, your OneDrive, your Google Drive, obvious stuff. If you have Excel files that are important, if you have PowerPoints, Canva is another one, for example, because a lot of people are doing like marketing in Canva or Adobe or something like that. If you can connect that with an API key, that's great. Then we can get the marketing material, we can get, from the sales side, all of these things, all different documents, MD files, all emails are very important. Email might be one of the most important like data sources you can have. If you connect your email into AI and you sort of start feeding your AI with the context from email, like that is a fantastic way where you can get tons and tons of data, and you can start analyzing and building up like knowledge bases. And this is also very good if you're going to do some sort of email automation agent where it can sort of write drafts for you. Like this is one of the most popular services that we've done for companies. We're building sort of an email agent responder. So here, just analyzing all of your emails, that is absolutely fantastic. But get all of these data sources, get the API keys, put it into Claude or whatever AI you're using. And then for like shared knowledge, if you actually want to build a company brain, what I would do is, like, you obviously want to share it with your team and you want to get the different team members like data into it. I would keep it very simple. Like the rule of AI and stuff like this, just keep it as simple as possible. Like, don't overcomplicate things. Don't have shiny object syndrome and try out like 5 different things that look cool on paper but actually doesn't produce any results. I would just make a GitHub repository, connect all of your sort of data there. You could use something like Obsidian. That is totally free to sort of visualize your data. So just by having, API keys to all these sources, using an AI model, and then Obsidian or, just, GitHub as well, if you don't need to visualize it. With this, you can already produce a AI company brain. And otherwise, there are many like open source models and other things where you can visualize it and you can get it in more better formats and stuff. That doesn't really matter. The key is just like, how can we get the right data and sort of interact with it, and what is then, and that's why it's important to know our end outcome, because what we want to do with sort of that data and that sort of company brain, that obviously determines like what we're going to use. So I'm not going to list you like 10 different things, because there are so many different use cases that you might want to use your AI company brain for. I can make more videos on this if it's interesting, if it's valuable for you. That's the key, because my goal here is to be valuable. I'm not here to, just entertain you. Like, this is not entertaining. This is just, hardcore, unfiltered value to you. I'm trying to help you out. But I would say that those are the keys right here. So I would say that the takeaway from this video is that know what you want. Like, what is the end outcome you're looking for? And do we have meaningful data to make any conclusions? And if we have that, the setup is quite easy. You can figure that out with AI. Because when you know your end outcome, then AI can handle the rest. All right, hopefully this was valuable for you, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, goodbye, bye-bye.